Thank you. Okay, that's me when I was a kid, around 8 years old, when I first got into entertainment, which is about the first time I began having many celebrity obsessions. And I have this really distinct memory of telling my grandparents that I want to be a famous actress, and I want to be famous so that I could win an Academy Award and marry Josh Hartnett, which was my ultimate ambition. But my dad, who's here tonight, big fan of mine, he believed that my natural talents lay more in the realm of intellect than entertainment. And so rather than participate in the more creative pursuits, I was streamlined into advanced educational programs. I coasted through a university. I got into law school, articled at my first choice firm, which all sounds really lovely and simple, but you have to understand how incredibly hard I fought against my own success. My dad literally had to bribe me with actual real money to go to a gifted program, to not drop out of my university degree, and to take the LSAT, which I refused to study for, but managed to get into law school, so that's good. But the truth is that I really just resented being smart, and I didn't want to be smart. I wanted to be creative, and I wanted other people to see me as creative, and I really wanted to win an Academy Award and marry Brad Pitt at that moment in time, and so I just made up this battle entirely in my head between my intellect and my creativity. And by the time I finished articling, that battle had really morphed into law versus the rest of my life, which meant that I hated law, and at my earliest opportunity, I just took a leap and quit everything. I pieced out from my top law firm, and with this perfect combination of courage and naivety, I jumped into the world of entrepreneurship. And then for the next 5 years, I tried and failed as a business that was probably just a few years ahead of its time. Yeah, that's right. I became a professional coach. I broke up with 2 business partners, and I developed a coaching program for navigating the path less traveled, which makes sense given that my own journey was definitely meandering. And somehow on that meandering journey, I was elected to the board of Women in Film and Television, and I'm now serving my 4th term as the president. And if you don't already know, Women in Film and Television is a nonprofit organization dedicated to the elimination of gender discrimination in screen-based media. And at this point, it should probably come as no surprise to you that at least 5% of my motivation for joining the board was to help me become famous and marry Matt Damon. And yes, I get the irony of joining an organization that is dedicated to gender parity and choosing all of my future husbands off a 100 sexiest actors list. But jokes aside, there is no question that WIF TV opened many, many doors for me. My first production meeting for my first short film was an actual dream come true. I still have the email that I sent to the other 2 producers, both women I met through Women in Film, telling me that I was happy crying on the way home from that meeting because I couldn't believe that my dream was coming true. And the film that we made was called I Want to Date You. And it was a short film, and it was filmed in my apartment, for which I was fined $200 because the bylaws don't let you film in apartments. And then in 2015, our film screened right here at VIF Theatre at Women in Film's International Women in Film Festival, which, by the way, if you don't know, is the 2nd largest international women's film festival in the country. And now I will tell you other facts that you don't know about Women in Film. We run one of the largest international screenplay competitions in the world. We run a national incubator for genre programs for women called From Our Dark Side. We run one of the most comprehensive actor mentorships in the country. We run a feature film writing program for Indigenous women across the province. And speaking of the province, we've now been asked to expand, and by this time next year, we'll probably be WIFT BC instead of WIFT Vancouver. And as of this year, every national media organization in Canada, including the CRTC, has given Women in Film and Television a seat at their table, requesting our input for policies to achieve gender parity in film and television. And these are like literally just the snippets. Yeah, you can clap for it. Woo, Women in Film, woo! But yeah, people have absolutely no idea what Women in Film does, and when they find out what we do and the extent of it, they're really blown away. We're quite a force with national and international reach, and we're making a difference for every future filmmaker who enters the industry, and especially for women. We also throw really great parties, and you should come to them. But the most amazing part of this is everyone on here is a volunteer, and we do all of this with only two full-time staff. Sometimes we get funding for part-time help, but mostly it's hundreds and hundreds of volunteers. WIF TV is a really inclusive organization. We cross every aspect of the industry. We're open to all genders. We're open to people at every stage in their film career, even to people who aren't actually in film and who just want to be a part of our really vibrant organization. So if you'd like to be involved, you can volunteer, you can be a sponsor, and you should definitely talk to me after if you'd like to be a sponsor. We will take your money. But however you want to be involved, we would love to have you. So just come talk to me after the event. Look at everyone all happy at our events. So back to my journey. In April last year, my husband and I separated, and then 6 months later, my number one client and my brand new business partner unexpectedly passed away, which made 2017 a really, really hard year. And at the end of both of those things, I had really no idea what I was going to do with my life. So my dad suggested, well, why don't you return to law? And I raged at the suggestion at him for about 20 minutes and then at myself for 5 days. And I just had this ongoing 5-day actual battle in my head between law, creativity, intellect. And it really felt like returning to law was going to mean giving up on my dreams. But then I had this like miraculous thought where I finally realized that if I just stopped fighting this imaginary fight, my life would get really easy. And I realized that if I could empower that law as easy for me and that this is just how my brain works, then it could actually be a source of my life. It could actually source my creativity instead of being in opposition, which was really quite revolutionary. It was a little bit like being lost in the woods. You have nowhere to go. And then the place where you're looking and it looks like brambles and nothing is there suddenly becomes this clear path. So here I am, and it's 1 year later, and I'm practicing law, and I'm happy about it, and I'm also getting to consult on creative projects, and it's all just really working, which is great. And so looking back, what I can see is that Women in Film was really a bridge for me. It was a bridge from law to film, a bridge from my intellect to my creativity, a bridge from one world to another. And I don't really need that bridge anymore because all of my paths have merged. But if I do ever become famous and marry Chris Hemsworth and win my Academy Award, then first I will thank my dad, and then second I will thank Women in Film. So thank you very much.